Welcome to today's episode of Medical Device Global Market Access by Pure Global. In this episode, we are turning our focus to a groundbreaking development in China's regulatory landscape for neurotechnology. The host will discuss the new guidance from China's National Medical Products Administration, or NMPA, on brain-computer interface medical devices. For years, developers of brain-computer interface, or BCI, technology have navigated a gray area in China. The rapid innovation in neurotech outpaced the creation of specific regulations, leading to uncertainty about classification, clinical requirements, and the overall pathway to market. This ambiguity often stalled investment and delayed the entry of potentially life-changing technologies for patients, leaving both manufacturers and healthcare providers in a state of regulatory limbo. That uncertainty has now been addressed. On June 30, 2026, the NMPA released its guiding principles for the classification of brain-computer interface (BCI) medical devices, also known as Announcement Number 24. This document is not merely a suggestion, it is the first definitive rulebook that establishes a clear framework for classifying these complex devices. It provides a much-needed roadmap for manufacturers, clarifying how the NMPA assesses risk and what regulatory pathway developers must follow to bring their innovations to the Chinese market. The guidance categorizes BCI devices based on their level of invasiveness and intended use, which directly correlates to their risk profile. For invasive BCI devices, such as those with electrodes implanted directly into brain tissue or placed on the surface of the brain, the path is clear. They are classified as Class 3 medical devices. This is the highest risk category in China, reserved for devices that are implantable or pose a significant potential risk to human health. This classification mandates the most stringent regulatory requirements, including extensive preclinical data and in-country clinical trials to demonstrate safety and efficacy. The classification for non-invasive BCI devices is more nuanced. These devices, which typically use external sensors like electroencephalography, EEG, caps to read brain signals, can fall into either Class 2 or Class 3. The determining factor is the intended use. If a non-invasive BCI is intended for relatively low-risk applications, such as rehabilitation assistance or monitoring physiological parameters without providing a diagnosis, it may be classified as Class 2. However, if the same technology is intended to diagnose, treat, or mitigate a serious disease, such as epilepsy or major depression, it will be elevated to Class 3. The guidance makes it clear that the claims made by the manufacturer are paramount in determining the risk level and subsequent regulatory burden. This new framework has significant implications for both domestic and international BCI manufacturers aiming for the Chinese market. It ends the guesswork and provides a predictable, albeit challenging pathway for companies developing high-risk, invasive BCI systems for conditions like paralysis or locked-in syndrome. The Class 3 designation confirms that a substantial investment in local clinical trials and a comprehensive submission dossier will be necessary. For those with non-invasive technologies, the guidance requires a careful evaluation of their product's intended use and marketing claims to determine the correct classification. So, what should regulatory and quality teams do now? We recommend focusing on 4 key actions. First, immediately review your entire BCI product pipeline against these new guiding principles. Determine the correct classification for each device based on its design and intended use. This is the foundation of your entire regulatory strategy for China. Second, conduct a thorough gap analysis of your existing technical documentation and clinical data. For devices now confirmed as Class 3, you must assess whether your current evidence meets the NMPA's stringent requirements for a Chinese clinical trial. Third, for particularly novel devices or those on the borderline between Class 2 and Class 3, we advise proactive engagement with the NMPA's Center for Medical Device Evaluation, or CMDE. Early communication can provide clarity on specific data requirements and prevent costly delays later in the process. Finally, ensure your quality management system is aligned with the obligations of your device's classification. Class 3 devices, in particular, require robust post-market surveillance and risk management protocols, and your QMS must be prepared to support these activities from day one. In conclusion, The NMPA's new BCI classification guidance is a landmark development. It replaces regulatory ambiguity with a clear, risk-based framework, officially opening the door for this transformative technology to enter the Chinese market. While the requirements, especially for Class 3 devices, are demanding, the clarity provided is invaluable for strategic planning and investment. If you need help navigating the complexities of global market access, including the new NMPA requirements for BCI devices, check out Pure Global. In the description, you'll find links to our free AI tools and database. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.